As an outsider looking in, you might think Vladimir Putin has a pretty crazy life. A life where every day is filled with bears, shirtless horseback riding, and the stereotypical vodka. But you might be shocked to learn the truth of the former KGB leader's daily routines as the president of Russia. As a political figure known for his ominous demeanor, his allegedly villainous tactics, and signature style of governing, there's so much to wonder about what a day in the life of Vladimir Putin looks like. So we're going to take a look for ourselves. So pour yourself a glass of vodka, put on an oversized coat, and let's explore what routines and activities the Kremlin leader gets up to. Mornings. The first thing that might come as a surprise is the time Vladimir Putin wakes up. Considering his position as a world leader, you'd think he'd want to be up early, but you'd be wrong. Instead, Putin always gets a late start to his day, waking up in the late morning before taking breakfast at noon. For breakfast, you're looking at a very standard and perhaps dull breakfast of porridge, quail eggs, an omelette, and some fruit juice. However, one thing that is apparently always present at a Putin breakfast is cottage cheese. It seems he just can't get enough of the stuff. Like all of Putin's meals, breakfast is prepared fresh with ingredients sourced from local farms nearby. In fact, his ingredients come from a farm belonging to another important Russian figure, the Patriarch Kirill, who is the head of the Russian Orthodox Church. This can be one of the trickier parts of Putin's job, considering he's got to be away from home often for foreign trips. His sense of paranoia surrounding food means he travels a lot with his cook in an attempt to always know what he's eating and who prepared it. As a former spy, he knows how easy it is for things to turn, shall we say, deadly. However, this is not to say that he doesn't eat what his hosts have prepared when he is hosted by other leaders. It just needs to be cleared by the Kremlin before he will eat any of it. A strange fact, Putin doesn't drink milk. He point-blank refuses, and it's unclear if it's because he doesn't like it or if it has to do with something else. Only once breakfast is complete will the Russian president enjoy a cup of coffee, Novichok-free of course. Then, with breakfast out of the way, it's time to exercise. Now, erase images of bear wrestling out of your mind. Putin enjoys a considerable amount of time swimming. How much time? 2 whole hours of swimming. It's been noted that Putin does a lot of his thinking on behalf of the country while swimming. How thoughtful. He's going to need an additional 2 hours not to look like a raisin when he attends to actual governance. But alas, swimming is only one aspect of his workout schedule. Next, he heads to the weights. If there's one thing Putin takes very seriously, besides, well, everything, it's fitness and cultivating and maintaining an image of masculinity. Putin is known as someone who's constantly seen engaging in physical activity through swimming, exercising, or just playing sports such as ice hockey, karate, hang gliding, hunting, or fishing. He's never been shy about sharing his body with the Russian electorate, making sure they know their leader is strong. That's likely where the images of him riding a bear or horse shirtless came in handy the most. Regardless of what anyone might think, there's no denying that Putin is in considerable shape compared to other world leaders who, frankly, aren't. For daily attire, Putin enjoys a very plain suit and tie. Russia Beyond the Headlines, a state-run website, reports that Putin enjoys the clothing brands Khiton and Brioni. Also important, he never sports a flashy tie, instead opting for dour, plain colors. To remain healthy, Putin enjoys natural remedies as he distrusts medicine. I'm sure it's easy to understand why. So he relies on traditional health remedies to remain in good health, such as massages, tea with honey, saunas, and keeping in shape. It's time to leave home and get to work at the Kremlin. Putin doesn't live in the busy city of Moscow. Instead, he lives in his private home on a sprawling estate filled with lush greenery and parkland surrounding his lavished home. Afternoons. Putin waits for no one. But people are definitely kept waiting by the man himself, considering what time he gets into the office. The workday officially begins in the early afternoon, lucky, where Putin arrives and heads to his chambers for briefing notes. He'll spend some time going through the various notes that range from domestic intelligence, foreign affairs, international media, Russian media, and so on. Putin is very intent on knowing all the available information from across his various agencies which gather intel. He's not one for surprises, so he needs to know what's going on both at home and abroad. What may be surprising is the amount of press Putin devours, including the Russian Digest. But it's Russia's quality press which is essential to the Kremlin's core operations of spreading information and gossip. He takes particular interest in articles written about himself and has a special fondness for articles written by Andrei Kolesnikov. Finally, he reads foreign press news clippings. They're his least favorite because, well, to say the world isn't fond of the Russian president is an understatement. He has a particular disdain for the German newspapers, which are the least favorable to the former KGB leader. However, one element of the German news he enjoys is his ability to fluently read and understand all the articles in their native language of German, which he picked up while working as a KGB agent back in the day. He had been attempting to perfect his English, and it would seem he's done well in that department as well.
Perhaps it was because, uncharacteristically, he was speaking in English. Now, to be fair, at least he can speak English and quite well.
Completely free of charge.
Very few American or British leaders can speak any language other than English.
Putin isn't much of a reader or fan of technology. He is old school and enjoys pen and paper communication. He also prefers to make use of fixed-line Soviet war-era telephones. His advisors will show the stoic president videos of satirical content that openly mocks the Russian government or Putin himself in rare instances. However, his reaction to these clips is anyone's guess. Something tells me it's not an LOL moment though. Putin's schedule is as intense as any world leader's schedule, and it's something planned months in advance and therefore isn't super easy to just change on a whim. In some rare cases, things are planned years in advance. Now that's some organization. It's noted that the day is divided into blocks of 15 minutes, which can be reserved for anything from calls to meetings or events. Putin famously hates meetings, kind of like some of those big CEOs we're also familiar with, so he actively avoids them as much as possible. If you're wondering how Putin manages to get from home to work in order to keep up with an intense schedule, well, he's got his own road. I know that sounds like, oh, a road he always uses and is cleared when he needs it, but no. He has a road that nobody but him and his motorcade can use. Now that's power. This private road means he can get from his home to the Kremlin in under 25 minutes. Most of his time is spent either at home or at the Kremlin, so it makes for convenience. If he needs to travel anywhere else, like the airport, the roads are cleared pretty easily. But that's another thing he avoids at all costs: evenings. If it wasn't obvious from the time of day he wakes up, Putin is a night owl. He prefers staying up later to work as he believes it's when his mind is most active and when he's sharpest. He enjoys a meal prepared by his personal chef and continues working into the night. In addition, he also enjoys some pistachio ice cream, which is known as his favorite. He even gifted the president of China, Xi Jinping, with a gift of pistachio-flavored ice cream at a meeting once. If you get ice cream from Putin, consider yourselves friends. Putin will return home at midnight unless he's returned home earlier and chosen to work from his home office over the Kremlin. At home, he will either continue working or relax. If you think he works hard, then be glad you're not one of his couriers who has to work late. While many envy the people who hold such a prestigious and up-close position to the Russian leader, not many seem to be aware of just how intense this job can really be. Putin doesn't drink, except for the odd occasion when he enjoys a glass of wine at foreign diplomatic receptions. But considering the country's long history of social issues due to alcoholism, many of the top-ranking Russian leaders have sworn off of the fiery water they're known for. Outside of being a leader, Putin isn't known for much else. He's got 2 daughters, but nobody knows how much of a relationship they share. The truth is, everyone knows a lot more about his dogs than they do his own flesh and blood. He has a Labrador, Akita Inu, and a Karakachan. Of course, Putin loves his dogs, and in one instance, when his dog Yume, the Akita Inu, barked at a Japanese reporter, he gave her a treat. But as we're aware, Putin isn't a fan of the free press. While we're sure Putin doesn't want to do so, eventually even he has to sleep. As it stands, Putin is single after splitting from his wife of 30 years, Ludmila. Since 2013, he's been a single man with little time and a whole country in his hands. I'd say he's got a lot of other things to focus on besides a relationship. Come 3 a.m., Putin is in bed, drifting off into the night. Something tells me he doesn't dream, but if he did, it would likely be about something we're not ready to hear. And speaking of things you're not ready to hear, click this video to find out what a day in the life of Kim Jong-un is like, and I'll see you there.